Adaeze, Adaeze, it is me. Look at my face. Why do you stare at me as though I have crawled out of a grave?
You cannot be here. No, you cannot be. They told us you were dead. 2 years now. Your brother stood in this very compound and told us your body was buried in the cold ground of Italy. We mourned you, Ikenna. I wore black cloth for you for a full year. If you are truly Ikenna, then who did we buried?
Dead! I am standing in front of you, breathing! 9 years, Adaeze. 9 years across the desert and the great water. I wrote you a letter every single month. I sent money every single month. Where is it all? Why is my younger brother wearing my wedding agbada? Why did my son Chidi just call him Papa? Brother Ikenna, you are alive. Chai, this is a miracle from God. Explain. You will explain why you are sleeping in the house I built with the blood of my own hands. Explain why my own children do not know my face.
Dike, what is he saying? He says he sent money. He says he wrote letters. You told me he abandoned us. You showed me a letter saying he had married a white woman.
Woman, shut your mouth. Can't you see he has returned to disgrace this family? He's lying. I am lying? Then bring them out. The 9 years of letters. The 9 years of money I sent through your own hands. Bring them out, right now, in front of everyone. And may the ground beneath our feet open and swallow whichever of us is the liar.
Now, before I carry you into this story, I have to ask you something. And I want you to answer me from your chest in the comments. Have you ever sacrificed everything for your family? Traveled far, walked yourself to the bone, sent everything home, and then discovered that while you were away, someone you trusted with your whole life was betraying you behind your back? Tell me about it. And if you have a loved one abroad right now, sending money home, say a prayer for them in the comments. Because this tale will show you why the old people say, watch not only the stranger at your gate, but the brother at your table. Don't do so. They know the truth always owns the road in the end. Until the next tale, guard your good name and guard the good hearts around you even more fiercely, for they are worth more than any roof that shines.
Ikenna and Adaeze had married for love in a season when love was the only rich thing either of them owned. He was a farmer's son with strong hands and an honest face. She was the daughter of a palm wine tapper. And between them, they had 2 rappers, 1 good pot, and a hunger to build something better. A son came, Chidi, with his father's honest eyes. Then a daughter, little Ngozi, with her mother's laugh. But the land was tired and the harvest small, and a man can love his family with his whole heart and still watch them go to bed hungry. And that, my child, is a particular pain that eats a good man from the inside. So when the talk came of the riches across the great water, in the land of Italy, where they said the streets paid a man in 1 day what the farm paid him in a month, Ikenna made the hardest decision of his life. He would cross the desert and the sea, that road that swallows so many sons of Africa and never gives them back, and he would walk like 10 men and lift his family out of the dust forever. Adaeze wept and begged him not to go. The road is wicked, Ikenna. Men go and do not return. I am not going to die on that road, he said, holding her face. I am going to live on it for you. Wait for me. Trust me, as I will trust you across every mile of water between us. There was only one person he trusted to watch his wife and children and to receive the money he would send. For in those days, money crossed the water through the hands of men, not machines. And that was his own younger brother, Dike. I am leaving you everything that matters to me, Ikenna told him the night before he left. My wife, my children, my name. The money I send, you give to Adaeze, every coin. The letters I write, you read to her, for she never learned her letters. You are my blood, guard them. And Dike smiled and said, go in peace, brother. I will guard them with my life. Hear the proverb, my child. When you hand a man the keys to your house, you have also handed him the choice of whether to be a guard or a thief. and no one truly knows which a man is until the owner is far away and the house is full. The road was every bit as wicked as Adaeze feared, and I will not tell you all of it, for some of it is too heavy for a fireside. But Ikenna lived. He arrived thin as a cornstalk and twice as bent, and he found work, cruel work, picking fruit under a sun that did not care, washing dishes until his hands cracked, sleeping 8 men to a room. And every single month, no matter how his own belly ached, he sent the largest part of what he earned home to Daike to give to Adaeze. And every month he wrote a letter, slowly, in his careful hand, full of love. Kiss the children for me. Mend the roof before the rains. Tell Adaeze I see her face in my dreams every night. 1 year, then 2, then 5. 9 years, my child, of a faithful man bleeding himself dry for a family across the water. And every coin of it and every word of it fell into the hands of his brother, Daike.
Let me stop the tale here for one moment. When the full truth comes out, remember that Adaeze believed her husband was dead. She was lied to. She mourned. She was broken and alone. So tell me in the comments, is Adaeze guilty too for what is about to happen? Or is she only a victim of a wicked man's lie? Type guilty or victim. Be honest, but be fair. Because what DK did next is going to make your blood boil.
For a man like Daike, the first stolen coin is the hardest. After that, the soul grows a callus and the stealing becomes as easy as breathing. He collected the money, good money, growing money, watered by Ikenna's sweat. And instead of carrying it to Adaeze, he kept it, giving her only a little, just enough to keep her quiet and hungry. Times are hard for our Ikenna over there, he would sigh. He sends what he can. The letters were the wickedest part. Each came full of Ikenna's love, addressed to a wife who could not read. And Daike, who could read, sat before her and pretended to read aloud. But the words from his mouth were not the words his brother had written. Where Ikenna wrote, "I dream of your face every night," Daike's mouth said, "He says he is very busy and cannot write much." And over the years, he planted a darker seed. Adaeze, I do not want to wound you, but they say there are women over there, white women who give a man papers to stay. I fear our Ikenna is forgetting us. He watered that lie every month, and a lie watered faithfully grows as tall as any truth. Her heart broke slowly, the way a great tree dies, from the inside out, while it still looks like it is standing. But greed is a fire never satisfied with the meal it is given. It always reaches for the cook as well. Daike no longer wanted only the money. He wanted the house, the wife, the whole of his brother's life, with his brother neatly removed from it. So he committed the most terrible wickedness a man can commit against his own blood. He buried a living man. He came into the compound one evening with ash on his head, wailing, and told the whole village that word had come. Ikenna had died in a factory in Italy. The body could not be brought home. He even produced a letter in a hand no one could read that he swore confirmed the death. And the village believed him. Why would they not? What kind of monster invents the death of his own brother? They held the funeral, they dug an empty grave. Adaeze, told for 2 years that her husband was forgetting her, now collapsed under the news that he was gone forever and wept until there were no tears left in her body. Then Daike played his final card, wearing the mask of kindness. For in our tradition, when a man dies, it can fall to his brother to take the widow into his care, so she and the children are not left destitute, a custom born of love. Daike wore that custom like a thief wears a policeman's uniform. Humble and sorrowful, he offered the elders to marry his late brother's widow, to care for Ikenna's children as my own, so my brother can rest in peace. And the village praised him. What a good brother, they said, not knowing they praised the very serpent that had poisoned the well. A broken widow, with no money, no husband, 2 hungry children, and a whole village calling Daike her only shelter. What was she to do?
Something in her spirit recoiled from him, but a drowning woman does not choose her log. She accepted, and Daike moved fully into the house his brother Sweat had built. He slept in Ikenna's bed. He wore Ikenna's wedding agbada to the village meetings, and little by little, he taught Ikenna's own son and daughter to call him Papa. But hear the proverb: a lie can travel across the whole world, but it cannot cross the same bridge twice without being recognized. And the bridge that undid Daike was a small one, a single townsman. A man named Emeka, who had also gone to Italy, returned that 9th year for his own father's burial and said in passing, "The only one of us I still see often over there is our own Ikenna, strong man, still walking like an ox, still sending everything home. I greeted him myself not 2 months ago." The neighbor went cold. "Ikenna? Brother, Ikenna has been dead 2 years. We buried him. Daige married his widow." And Emeka stared as if the man had grown a second head. "Dead? The Ikenna I know shook my hand this very month and showed me a photograph of his wife and 2 children and told me he was finally coming home." The word ran through that village faster than fire through harmattan grass, and it reached Adaeze, and it planted in her a terror and a hope so violent she could not breathe. That very night, while Daike slept the deep sleep of a man whose conscience had died years before, she rose in the dark and searched the house, and in a locked box beneath the floor of the room he forbade her to clean, she found them. 9 years of letters opened and read and hidden. Letters in Ikenna's careful, loving hand, and beneath them the records of 9 years of money, all received, all signed for by Daike. Adaeze sat on that cold floor with 9 years of her true husband's love spread around her, the love she had been told was coldness, the love she had been told had died, and she finally understood the full monstrous shape of what had been done to her. And 3 days later, before she had even decided what to do, a thin, travel-worn man with an honest face and graying temples walked through the gate of his own compound after 9 long years and found his brother wearing his wedding clothes and his son calling that brother Papa. You have already heard how that meeting began. Now hear how it ended. When Ikenna threw down his challenge, the color drained from Daike's face, for he knew the box beneath the floor had been opened. He blustered. He called Ikenna a madman and a liar. But Adaeze walked into the house and came back holding the locked box and set it down in the dust before the gathering crowd and opened it. And the truth came pouring out in Ikenna's own handwriting for 9 years. The elders were called. The whole village came, the same village that had wept at an empty grave and praised a serpent. The letters were read aloud under the great Iroko tree, in Ikenna's true words this time around. And at every loving line the crowd groaned, for every line was a knife in the lie they had all believed. Little Chidi looked from the thin, honest stranger to the fat man he had called Papa, and the boy began to weep because the blood in his own veins was telling him a truth his mind could barely hold. Daike did not even try to deny it in the end. A man cannot argue with 9 years of his brother's handwriting. He fell to the ground and begged, and the village that had praised him turned its back, for there is no creature more despised in our land than the one who betrays his own blood and buries a living brother for gain. The judgment was terrible and just. Everything Daike had taken was stripped from him. He was cast out, to wander as a man with no people, which for one of our blood is a death worse than any grave. The custom marriage, built on a forged death, was dissolved as the fraud it was, for a marriage rooted in the murder of the truth has no roots at all. And do not imagine, my child, that it was a simple, happy ending, for the deepest wounds do not heal in one afternoon. Adaeze carried a guilt that was not hers to carry. Ikenna had to lay down a jealousy that wanted to blame her and learn to see her as a fellow victim of the same serpent. There were long nights of weeping and children who had to learn gently who their true father was. But love that crosses a desert and an ocean and 9 years and a forged grave is not a love that breaks easily.
Day by day, the family that wickedness had torn apart grew itself back together, the way a great tree struck by lightning but not killed puts out new green from the old scarred wood. And on quiet evenings, they say, Ikenna would sit in his own chair, in his own house, with his own children around him, and thank his chi, not for the riches he crossed the water to find, but for the one ordinary truth the serpent so nearly stole forever, that he was alive and home and known.
So hear the lesson this tale lays in your hands tonight. The stranger at your gate is not always your greatest danger. Sometimes the knife that cuts the deepest is held by a hand that shares your own blood. And greed, once it enters a heart, will happily devour a brother, bury a living man and call it family. But hear the true half. A lie can cross the whole world, but it cannot outrun the truth forever. The truth will cross every desert and every ocean and walk through your gate on the day you least expect and on the road. Now tap subscribe and ring the bell, for the next tale is warming by the fire. Leave a comment. If you were Ikenna, could you have forgiven Adazi? And share this with somebody who has a loved one far from home. Until the next tale, trust your blood, but never stop watching your house.